Hello, very good to meet you again and at ICF LinkedIn Live. And today I'm streaming from Lexington, Kentucky, which is the headquarters for International Coaching Federation. And I'm absolutely delighted to have guests with me, Ginny Gray and Dave Lane from Intel. I guess Intel does not need much of an introduction. However, let me just say, Intel Corporation is an American multinational corporation and technology giant. It is world's largest semiconductor chip manufacturer by revenue and one of the Fortune 500, really high up in the Fortune 500 list of the largest United States corporations. And we are talking with Ginny and Dave today, not only because it's such a phenomenal organization, but also because this year Intel won the ICF Prism Award. Prism Award is the distinction granted by ICF to organizations and corporations that are using coaching in a strategic way to accomplish the goals of the organization, but also to build cultures within the organization, support their leaders and members throughout the enterprise. And Intel is a very interesting case study, I would say, because Intel decided to enter into absorbing coaching many years ago. It's been about 15 years, if I'm correct, Ginny and Dave. And Ginny, I'll start with you. What made you consider coaching when coaching was not very popular? Coaching was often considered remedial rather than developmental. And what made it happen in Intel?
Yeah, great question. So I would say, 15 years ago, I wasn't a part of, Dave and I weren't a part of the coaching journey back then. But what I do know is that there was a couple of ICF certified coaches, and they were doing leadership development work and saw a huge connection between coaching and leader work. And, really focused on targeting a small population that they wanted to really make a difference with. And they worked with that population, tested out coaching, measured and showed results and impact. And from there, it just grew over the years, I would say, kind of ebbs and flows. And one thing that was great back then was there was a realization that there was a lot of other certified coaches within this large company, right? So and so the key coaches worked to kind of leverage that community of volunteers to have them help also coach other leaders across the company. It was kind of a win-win, right? So these volunteers, it was a passion of theirs. They had their day job as an engineering manager or a marketing person, and they could then give back and also continue building their coaching muscles by working with other leaders across the company. So that's kind of how it started. Very grassroots. The individual manager was also a coach and saw the value of coaching. And so it kind of sparked from there.
Starts with that one person really committed and really passionate, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So from you said, Jenny, it seems like you do what the study by ICF with Human Capital Institute consider a sign of a strong coaching culture, and that being having the internal coaches and external coaches, and perhaps even having some training for individuals being managers and leaders using coaching skills. So Dave or Jenny, can you tell us more about that approach?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having us. Thanks for the award. And yeah, for that, originally, because of like Ginny was saying, this handful of coaches that were passionate, saw the value, they started seeing the value, and over time, it's ebbed and flowed inside the business. And what we started seeing was that, and I think a lot of research now shows it, is that when managers adopt coaching abilities, engagement goes up, retention goes up, productivity goes up. There's a lot of goodness that coaching abilities does provide in managers. goals. And a couple other ways that we've implemented that, not just in one-on-one coaching, we also have group coaching. We also have a flagship program called Leadership Fitness Coaching that was co-created by Lynette Winter and Nir Megnazi that targets this directly over a 6-month journey.
So Dave, you touched on the results, and this is another kudos to Intel that Intel decided to measure the impact early on. That was probably the biggest gap that we saw in the development of a coaching profession, was that it was like, it works. Right. And how do we quantify it? How can we show the return on investment, or as we at ICF would often say, return on expectation, right? Because many coaching engagements are not focused on bottom line immediately. Of course, it trickles down to that. But this is like, if the expectation is better communication, better teamwork, greater effectiveness, whatever it might be, then the immediate measure may be better about, was that expectation met, rather than immediately trying to connect it with the bottom line. But I know that in the application for the Prism Award, you had phenomenal account for the outcomes and the benefits of the coaching program within Intel. I would love for you to brag about it, because it's worth bragging about. Ginny, can you share with us?
Oh, I was going to say, Dave, why don't you?
Oh, Dave, okay.
Yeah,
Hey,
okay, I'll go for it. Yeah.
Dave has all the ins and outs on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dave,
It's humbling, and it's really exciting to share. It's a privilege and an honor to get to be able to represent this. So we several years ago recognized that, hey, Intel's a large company. We have a lot of resources available. We have data scientists. Like, let's go tap into and leverage what's there, so that we can analyze the benefits that coaching does provide to not only the individual, but the organization that the individual operates in. And so we've looked at, here's the slide right here. So we started looking at the cost of attrition, and we've used the Gartner turnover cost calculator in order to figure this out. So the first there is from 2019 to 2021. That's $40 million in attrition cost reduction that we've calculated. We've also asked a lot of our clients towards the end of a coaching engagement, or if it's a coaching program, hey, what benefits have you seen in your business? And we actually use the Kirkpatrick model, and we're refining it as we go. So originally it was kind of this high level qualitative, trying to translate that into quantitative, but now we're asking the direct question: can you please quantify the revenue gain, the cost savings, and then provide some confidence level in that number, as well as the contribution of the coaching engagement to that number, so that we have some variability in that. So over $400 million in USD, enabling new revenue or cost savings that we've seen.
It's impressive.
It's impressive. And then higher promotion rate, lower attrition, achieving business goals, direct application of what that person's being coached on directly to their work. And then there's a ripple effect that this has.
This is really quite impressive. And granted, as you said, Intel is the organization that can invest resources, because it is a large organization. But nevertheless, I think that these results are clearly, hopefully, an inspiration for other organizations to look into coaching programs, and seeing that this is a business solution. This is not nice to have. This is truly a strategic and a business opportunity for many. Before we go to the next question, I would like to remind everybody who's with us today that you can put your questions in a chat, and we may have some time at the end of the program, or if you wish to put the question, we can pull it up and answer it during our conversation. So I see that Ginny, you're an ACC, and Dave, you're PCC. These are the ICF credentials, and I'm of course delighted to see that. One of the measures of a strong coaching cultures, according to ICF and Human Capital Institute, is the fact that the coaches are being trained. So tell us a little bit more about how you did mention already, Ginny, that there is a professional development dollars for the coaches to continue improving their skills and opportunities to grow. But how do you structure that intel?
So I would say it's multifolded, right? So we have a pool of 200 ICF certified coaches, volunteers that have their day job, and they carve out 10-15% of their time to coach. They are all either level 1 or level. So originally they were all level 2 or ACTP accredited coaches. Over the last couple of years, as we have been trying to sort out how to further scale coaching, we actually worked with a coaching vendor, Hudson Institute, and they came in and worked with us, and we actually ran 3 cohorts in a year, all around training them up to be level 1 coaches. So what we realized is that we didn't need to have every single coach be a level 2, right? That we could have a blend. And so that was part of our strategy is bringing in that coaching certification, training folks up to be level 1 coaches. Many of them are the other set are level 2 coaches. We also have a couple of external preferred vendors we use for coaching. And then our direct team, my direct team, Dave and others in the team are all certified coaches. And so they also are doing coaching. So that's kind of a blend of how we're managing it. And then we also have spot coaching, and we have an internal class. It's a 2 half-day class. You learn about what coaching is, the process structure, how to ask thoughtful questions, and you start practicing a little bit, feeling it out, and like what that looks like to show up that way. And in that process, there's a way to become a spot coach from that. So that's kind of our starting point. Let people kind of experience what coaching is and practice, and then start working with other employees across the company as a spot coach to practice their skills.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and scaling, and well, Intel is a massive organization, so affording the access to coaching to as many as possible is something to be desired, of course. So one other aspect of your program that really caught my attention is that oftentimes coaching is being brought into the organizations because there is a business issue. And coaching is supporting the accomplishment of that specific goal. It seems to me that over the years, Intel is really looking into building the leadership muscle of the organization through coaching. In fact, I think you have this really powerful program called Transforming Leaders Through Coaching. And those 7 points, I am going to read them because I think they're great. And it is to move from good to great, from quiet to powerful leader, from forgotten to fearless, from limited to liberated, from cautious to confident, from retention risk to inspired evangelist, from despondent to invigorated. I think it's amazing, and it's just about talking about the current needs for modern leadership, right? As we see, and you of course see the multi-generational workforce and different demands for what is considered leadership. So do you have your favorites? Let's start with Dave. Any of them that you would like to talk about a little bit more?
Oh, sure. It's hard to say yes, I have my favorites in this. And that's me in my own philosophy of this but to pick from this list, I'll pick the good to great, from quiet to powerful here. And it was this, and these are success stories of actual clients that have gone through coaching engagements, whether it be one-on-one or through a leadership fitness coaching program. And this is talking about someone that thought of themselves as, hey, I'm good. And they had these dreams, these aspirations, not only for themselves, but for the company. And so it was working with a coach of, okay, what about that is important to you to get to that great spot, that dream, that aspiration? What are the challenges in the way? How can we co-create a plan together to get where we get there? And so it's working alongside and partnering with a coach through that. That's from the good to great. And really the person really is starting to believe in themselves and starting to go, whoa, I can do this. And here's the business outcomes that are actually associated with it. So that's one thing. And then I'll pick on the from a quiet to powerful one was a female leader in the organization that's quite senior and is very soft spoken, super intelligent, super capable, and I know that there's a lot of work and understanding being done of how to understand the dynamics. And this person with their coach was able to recognize the power they had within themselves in order for them to assert themselves when situationally was appropriate for what they saw was the real need. And that's when the powerful leader came out of like, oh, I see this and other people aren't seeing this. I'm going to speak up. I'm going to say these things. I'm going to influence in these ways. And that person's organization has grown and flourished in ways. It's really fun and awesome to be a part of.
Yeah. That's a powerful story. Ginny, anything that comes up for you?
Yeah, I'd highlight one other, the retention risk to inspired evangelist. This was a person who had been at the company for, I think it was 3 or 4 years, had multiple different managers across the time, was frustrated with their role, frustrated with their manager, and really was considering, is Intel maybe not right for me? Is this job not right for me? And what do I do next? And, through coaching, they began to explore, what their personal values were, how to connect that to the work that they were felt most passionate about. And, ultimately got to a new place, I think, with the coaching, but also what I heard was, having someone listen to me and feel heard and help me sort out my journey. And so ultimately through multiple one-on-one coaching sessions, she got to a place where she found a new opportunity that aligned to her passions and re-engaged with Intel and, and became recommitted to the company and recommitted to doing great work.
That's fantastic, especially nowadays when we hear so many stories about great resignation, great reshuffle, quiet quitting, all this good stuff. So I think that this is such a powerful, again, opportunity for people to realize that coaching can support individuals and therefore organizational goals in a ways that maybe are not so immediately attached to the business goals, right? But again, we're as strong as our people, and supporting the team is something phenomenal. I do know that we got some questions. So Suki, okay, we got a question from Michaela. How do you see coaching fit into the recruitment process? Okay.
I would say we're just early stages of kind of connecting the two. We've been working with the recruitment team to make sure that as they're in the process of recruiting, they mention that coaching is an option for managers and leaders to take advantage of. We're also looking at ways to promote it more on our marketing website and areas like that. I would say it's not heavily connected yet, but it's on the horizon for sure. I have heard that not only millennials, but especially our Gen Z population really value personal growth, development, coaching. And so that's something that internally the recruiting team actually came to us and said, hey, this could be a great win and selling point, and let's start determining how we can best highlight that to potential candidates.
Yeah, that is great, because what we do know from our research is that younger generations are more aware of coaching, and also very much more keen on engaging in a coaching relationship. We do see some organizations reporting that younger people signing up basically demand that they're gonna have an access to a coach. So that's quite a good reflection of that trend, I guess. Vandana asked the question, what role would coaching play during the times of downsizing? We just heard about some, 11,000 people being let go of certain organization we don't mention. So how do you, we do have some great case studies of coaching actually helping downsizing down to closing out organizations. So I wonder, it's not the nicest of the thought, right? Downsize, but how do you see that role in this particular manner?
Yeah. So for me, how I see coaching play a role in this is, Ginny said it earlier about for someone to be seen. So we talked about that retention risk to the inspired evangelist. Coaching creates a container where someone can really share who they are, and for someone to be able to listen to them and then help them create new perspectives and new actions. So what I believe is that coaching can help people recognize the reality of the situation, and then discern the options that they have agency to move forward in, whatever that is. And through that, I believe in a coaching engagement during times of downsizing, that there are new perspectives, like creative ways of being able to regulate and manage the downsizing that's going to benefit more and more people. It's not and then it also comes to a term, it's not like, this is not a fun process, it's not a comfortable process. It's rumbling with, to use Brown's, rumbling with vulnerability, and marching through that with someone. You are not alone. So that's I think that one of the great benefits that coaching has is that you're not alone. There are people that care about you, that want to see you, understand you, and want to help you through.
Right, and perhaps help you figure out what's best next in your career, right? Whoa, that's a long one. Okay. Sam Shapiro asked, any tips for helping organization invest in their coaching and leader development strategy in the current financial environment? Finding many organizations deeply concerned about leader and team well-being, retention, morale, and engagement, but reticent to resource those efforts enough to sustain long-term impact. You've guys been in it for 15 years. I'm sure you have some pearls of wisdom to share.
I would say a big part of it is connecting, the well-being, the retention, the morale, the engagement, all of those critical components that an organization should be looking at, and connecting coaching to how it can help support and improve. And I think so it's about the business case. Right. A lot of the times is selling that business case of, by investing this amount or this population to work in coaching and to focus on helping morale and retention with our managers and leaders, you can show the impact and value ultimately on the results for the company. So that's where I would say you should focus is on the business. How is it going to help the business? That's what they care about, right? Ultimately. And so, figuring out how you can really connect the two.
And your numbers, what we discussed just a little bit earlier, clearly showed that impact. And our earlier study with Human Capital Institute showed that organizations with coaching cultures had significantly greater engagement of their employees, which directly translates into better financial results. So that makes perfect sense. Well, I'll say that we're coming to the very end of our time together. So thank you again, Ginny and Dave, for joining us today. Congratulations on the Prism Award, well deserved. And thank you for sharing your very, very inspiring story with all of us and for being with us today.
Thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a privilege. Thank you.